Okay, I'm collecting your reflection sheets.
What?
You watched 2 videos, right? You had to choose 2 videos?
No.
What else did it say?
No, yeah, we're supposed to do reflections.
Oh, and summarizing the video.
Dang
I
it.
thought that was for social studies.
No.
I thought we only had to watch two of them.
Didn't you guys go to the Google page?
Yeah.
And what does the Google page say?
Watch 2 videos.
And what else?
Write a reflection on
Okay.
those videos.
Do you need to see the Google page?
Yes.
You don't believe me?
No, I believe you.
Right or doesn't?
Done.
And then you were also supposed to come with what today? Besides that?
Oh yeah, I have
Story.
I know everything.
Story?
Huh?
Story? What story?
What story?
Guys, the story about the story and the story. Ha ha ha, it's so funny. You sound like so
I was clicking out of the little apps.
Here is the page. Let's look at it.
Thank you, Bestie, for putting up the page. I really appreciate it.
Watch at least 2 life issues videos. Summarize and write a reflection for each video. Find a real life story about one of the issues of life and write a summary of it and your reaction to that story.
I only got around to watching one of them,
I just heard a reflection.
You could have done all of this during the time, couldn't you? Because these weren't very long.
No,
This
we
was
didn't have time. We were eating.
7 minutes, 4 minutes. What was this one? How many just chose, oh, that's a short one, so I'm going to watch that one.
Yup,
I
yeah.
watched the
I chose a
Oh.
funny one.
I chose the first one.
The Catholic something.
Yeah, same. I
I watched
chose.
that one and the 4-minute one.
The 7-minute one.
The longer ones are a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I watched.
I watched the one with like the 2 people desk.
So whoever has it, let me have it.
I did watch like story.
Name is on it.
What's a video reflection again? Like, do I have to include
I want
it?
the reflection, we're going to talk about some of your stories. Just,
What is a real life problem?
can you talk about it?
Look one up online. I don't know. Oh, wait. A real life problem, like, I don't know. I have no idea.
And you can talk about it without looking at it?
I think so.
Okay. We're getting a lower percentage each time. What's going on, 7th graders?
It's hard when you're not here.
Yeah.
I wasn't here last 2 times and you, over half the class didn't have the assignment. I was here those times.
Maybe we should just like have no homework.
I don't got no number.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, at the end of the school year.
Maybe you should what?
It's trimester.
25 days
Come on,
left
it's
of
trimester.
Did you
Can
watch
give
the
us a
4th
break?
graders video this morning?
No, actually we didn't, because there was computer problems.
Watch it.
We can watch it now, though.
Come on, it's the 3rd trimester. Give us a
Well, it's kind of hard to hear them, but basically this is what it is. This is what we're not doing a very good job of.
Can we watch the convocation video?
We are talking about a right in this chapter. What's the right?
life.
The most important right.
Life.
Okay? The right to life should be one of our highest values. One of the highest rights. List some other rights we have. So we got right to life.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
Religion.
Religion. When we go through the First Amendment, speech, religion, there are 5 freedoms in the First Amendment. What are the other 3?
Bear arms.
That's the Second Amendment.
Dang.
The right to assemble. Speech, religion, assembly,
So was it stay with the press?
freedom of the press. Missing one. Can't think of it right now. What are some other rights?
Bear arms.
Bear arms. sleeve shirts. Any other rights? Food? How about we just have this one all covered? Your right to have your needs what? Met.
Wait. That one Bailey's and
What are your needs?
food, water, shelter.
Food, water, shelter, clothing, okay?
And a car and a Nintendo Switch.
Okay, you don't need a Nintendo Switch.
Oh, yes. Clothing.
Because you don't need a Nintendo Switch to live here.
I'm proof you can still live without a Nintendo Switch, okay? What else? Okay, let's talk about then. What did you get from these videos? So even those that didn't write, you could have just been writing it down as you watched it and done. How come everybody's not done? You didn't have time in class to watch too?
No, we did.
I watched the
You
second
were
grade.
eating?
Yeah, we were eating.
What?
Croissants,
Croissant.
Doritos, chips.
Why?
Chips. Because we had a map test.
I mean, you wanna, yeah. So it's not our fault, it's Mrs.
So went
Chamber
over
all
into
bars.
religion time?
So yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, get real happy.
So you
real
had
fast.
religion in the sixth grade classroom?
Yeah.
Does this sound like a difficult assignment?
No.
Yeah.
So
No.
it's gonna take you at the most 4 or least 7 minutes. At the most what? 14 minutes.
But then there's ads, so.
But as you're watching it, you could be doing what? Writing it down. So if you wanna add another 5 minutes to write it down, there's,
And you have to write your reaction.
and how many days did you have to do this?
A lot.
I don't want this pattern, okay? I'm really gonna advocate next year to have class every single day. Of course, that might change my job, but, cause I won't be able to teach religion every single day and social studies every single day. Cause there won't be enough hours in the day.
Keep us in for.
Let's talk about some life issues. The reason I put these up here, these are all important values we should have. A value is what? You've had this term, what's a value?
Oh yeah. That's a virtue one. It's like.
How many are with me? Okay, remember, if you're with me, you're here. If you're down here, it's what? Dead Sea. Dead Sea's the lowest place in the world. You'd still be alive. I mean, there's lower places, but you'd be underwater. So tune in here. What's the value?
A priority.
Somebody said Nintendo Switch. That's a value for who? You would. Is it a value for me?
I don't think so.
No.
TV.
Video games have very little value in my life.
Television.
That means video games are not what?
Important.
They're not important. So what's a value?
Something that's
Something's
important.
important to you.
Something that's important to you. It's not that difficult. Something's important to you.
Absolutely.
It's important to know what your values are. And then we're supposed to put our values in a lens. What's the lens we put our values in? What value do you put up there? The value of the lens of our faith. We're supposed to look at our lives through the eyes of our faith. Or another way of saying is it's through the eyes of Jesus. That's how we're supposed to be looking at our lives. Today's gospel comes from John. And Jesus says, I am the way, the
Light. The will.
the what?
Light. The truth.
The truth and the
Light. Love.
life.
Wow. Okay.
Basically, he's everything. So he's trying to tell you what should be our values. What should be important to you?
Religion. Yeah, God.
Whatever is important to Jesus should be important to me. How do we know what's important to Jesus? What?
Do we ask Mary?
We can ask his mom. Has Mary ever talked to you guys recently? Anybody heard from Mary this week? Nobody? Anybody heard from Jesus this week? Nobody? Really?
Not that we.
How many went to church?
Well, I saw Jesus.
You went to church, you what?
Well, I saw him.
You heard from Jesus. Whether you're paying or not, paying attention or not, you heard from him. Because we read what at every Mass?
Gospel.
We read a gospel. We also hear Jesus' prayers where he says, this is my
Body.
So you heard from Jesus. So how do we find out what Jesus' values? Well, we listen to his words to us. And primarily that's in the Bible. But he could also show you where. We went up to Grandview Lodge and I saw Jesus in the beauty of creation. The beautiful lake that is there, the trees that are there. We also stopped over here at Lebanon Hills Park. I've never been there before. How many have been to Lebanon Hills Park? Seen the beauty. I'd never seen it before. I've driven past it lots of times. Seeing the view. So I saw Jesus in his creation. I see Jesus when I see students fall in the play. So you can see Jesus. Those are the values we're supposed to do. Those are the values we want to go for. And Jesus puts one of the highest values of life. How do we know that he puts such a high value of life?
Because it's one of his commandments.
What commandments about life?
You shall not kill.
He raised a bunch of people from the dead. He's going to do it for us too. Because he died and rose again, we get to what? We get to die and rise again. So this should be this should be one of the biggest values we have. You know, right now we have a big debate in our country over this issue, which is a life issue, right? This is one life issue. What values are in conflict right here over this issue? There's two values in conflict.
Wait. I don't know.
My side of the abortion issue, what value am I going for?
Life.
Life. This is the highest value for me. The people that are on the other side, that are for abortion, what's their value?
Choice.
So what value is that? It's all right here, right? These are all about what? Freedom. Is freedom a good value?
Yeah.
Yes. Freedom's a good value. We've had people die, so what, we could be free. So you guys could be in here listening. In some countries, you wouldn't have this opportunity. The government would just be telling you what to do. And if you didn't go along with the government, what? Good thing you weren't in some country where it says you don't do your job. What happens? We'll send you to Siberia. That was under Joseph Stalin, the communist. The problem is, see, we need to learn to prioritize our values. This means what?
Put it in order.
Put them in order of importance. So if you don't prioritize your values, they're going to be mixed up. Now the world's going to tell you to mix them up. The world's going to tell you to go by their values. Your flesh is going to tell you to go by its values. What's your flesh's values?
The world's values.
That's why a lot of you didn't do this assignment. That's why. I didn't feel like it. How many didn't do this assignment because I didn't feel like it? Really, nobody. So the people that didn't do this assignment, why didn't you do it? I forgot the assignment. So what value is that?
Not caring to write it down.
Rights and
Okay?
responsibilities.
Remember, when we start making excuses, that usually means what? Remember this? At least it is for me. This is the term. If I rationalize, this means make excuses. You know where I'm at? This is where I am. Let's get back to this. What other issues are there? Abortion's one. What's another? Okay, poverty. What's another? What? Euthanasia? What's another one? Minneapolis is up to 24, St. Paul's has like 14. Murders. Now if you're in Texas and you got caught and got convicted of that, what's going to happen to you? You're going to die. What's that called? Capital punishment, which means you kill people that what?
That killed other people.
That killed other people. What's another life issue? I gave this speech in high school. Second leading cause of death for teenagers.
Drugs.
Suicide.
Drugs is not first.
What's another life issue?
Drugs. Illegal drugs.
I suppose you could say we're going to get more into, in the last part of this chapter, talks about the artistry of the person who God created it to be. we'll just say artistry. Or when it's not respected. That means that, like, drugs would be not respected, would be another way of not respecting the artistry of the person. Or another way of saying the artistry is what word?
Not.
Everybody should be treated the same because why?
We're created in image of-
Or created in God's image, so what's the term for that? We all have human what? We all have human what? Dignity.
Yeah, that.
Human dignity. We all have that, okay? What else could we pull? Let's see what else do they have here. They got, weren't some of these in the, on the videos?
They just talked about the abortion.
Or is a life issue? Now, they should have talked about saying that as Catholics, we're supposed to have what kind of life ethic? We're supposed to have a consistent life ethic. What does that mean? It has to do with this. What's consistent mean?
Always. Kind of.
You regularly do something. What we're looking for in turning in work, consistency. We're not looking for consistency in late work. Some of you have got consistency in late work. We're looking for consistency in turning stuff in. But what's it mean to have a consistent life ethic? That means in all areas of life, what should be my highest value?
Life.
Life. That means I can't say I'm against abortion, but I'm for capital punishment. If I'm a Catholic, that would be inconsistent. I can't say it's okay to kill somebody if they're suffering and be against abortion. I can't be for abortion and against capital punishment. Right now we have no political party that's what? That's a consistent life ethic, because we have two political parties mainly. We have a Democratic Party, and where does the Democratic Party sit on these issues?
Pro-choice.
Abortion.
So under abortion, for sure, they're pro-choice. We have a president who's a Catholic. Right now, the bishops are actually talking about censoring President Biden. You know what censor? You know the worst punishment you can get as a Catholic? Being excommunicated. What's that mean?
Kicked out of religion.
You're not kicked out necessarily. It's kind of like being kicked out, but you're not kicked out. I can still go to church, but I can't what?
Get the Eucharist.
I can't receive the Eucharist. If I was single and wanted to get married, what? I couldn't get married. I couldn't. The only sacrament I could receive is what?
Confession.
Reconciliation, for me to repent of the thing that's causing me to be excommunicated. So the minute President Biden became president, he signed legislation to allow Planned Parenthood to be funded, and Planned Parenthood is one of the biggest what? Abortion providers in our country. So President Biden is not giving us a consistent life ethic, but he's a Catholic. But there are many Catholics also that say, well, abortion's wrong, but they say capital punishment we should do. Why does the church teach us this? To be consistent here.
Because life is the highest priority.
Because life is our highest priority. Who's the only one that can give life? God. So the only one that should take it away is God. So being consistent here, the one I would struggle with the most, and I don't have to worry about it anymore because I'm so old, but you might have to worry about it someday. Which one?
Euthanasia?
Abortion. Well, oh yeah.
For sure, right now, the boys, when they turn 18, they have to what? They have to register for the draft. So if we have a draft and they get drafted and we were in a war, they'd have to what?
Fight.
You'd have to fight. And you might have to do what?
Die.
Or
Travel.
kill somebody else.
Yeah, but at this point, we're always less keen.
Listen up. We wanted to already get to the end of the chapter, but we're not going to because I want to hear some of your stories. So I want to hear some real life stories and issues like this. Where people, things like they were going to turn off the machine that was feeding a person, and then they turned it off, and that person came out of the coma and lived.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of stories. Or the abortion. You know, there's lots of people walking around today that were messed up abortions. Stories like that. Those are the stories we want to hear about that value life. Okay? So get those done. Do the two things here. This is not a big thing. Read pages 230. You're supposed to read to 2:30. I don't know if you got that read either. Did you? Did she assign that?
No, she did not.
It's on here though, right?
Okay. Right, no, it is?
Read to 2:30 right there. So when you're looking at this page, or write it down now. Please give me a consistent homework. But if it was between turning in your homework and having a consistent one here, what would I want?
Second.
This. But I'd really like to have what?
Homework.
Both.